I never thought love would betray me like this. I should have known better. From the moment I signed that contract, I told myself it was just a transaction, 2 years of marriage. No feelings, no expectations. But my heart had other plans. I fell for him. Hard. And just when I thought he might feel the same, he walked away. The night our contract ended, he left without a backward glance. No goodbye. No second thoughts. As if the past 2 years had meant nothing. But he underestimated me. He thought he could erase me from his life like I was just another deal. He thought I would disappear, broken and forgotten. He was wrong. Because when he needed me the most, I made sure I was the only option he had left. 2 years ago, I walked into a life that wasn't mine. My name is Alina Malik, and I never believed in fairy tales. Love was a luxury I couldn't afford. My life has always been about survival, working 2 jobs, taking care of my ailing father, and trying to keep us from drowning in medical bills. Then he came along. Rayyan Ahmed, CEO of Ahmed Enterprises, billionaire, cold, ruthless, and dangerously handsome. The kind of man who had the world at his feet but didn't care for emotions. The proposal he made that night changed my life forever. 2 years. Marry me, pretend to be the perfect wife, and when the time comes, we go our separate ways. In return, I'll pay off your father's medical bills and secure your future. It was supposed to be a business deal, one that benefited both of us. He needed a wife to fulfill a clause in his grandfather's will, and I needed a miracle to save my father. The terms were clear. No love, no expectations. Just 2 years of playing the role of the perfect couple in front of the world. It should have been easy, but somewhere along the way, I stopped pretending. At first, he was distant. He never looked at me for more than a few seconds. Never let his mask slip. But in the late hours of the night, when he thought I was asleep, I would hear his footsteps outside my door, hesitant, lingering. As if he was battling something inside himself. Then there were the small moments. The way his fingers would brush against mine when he handed me a cup of coffee. The way he would instinctively pull me close whenever cameras flashed around us. The way his gaze softened when he thought I wasn't looking. I fell in love with a man who never planned to love me back. The love doesn't follow contracts. It creeps in, silent and uninvited, and before I knew it, he was my world. I convinced myself that maybe, just maybe, he felt something too. Until the day our contract ended. That morning, I woke up to an empty bed. No goodbye. No trace of him. Just a neatly folded divorce paper on the nightstand, signed and ready. I had given him my heart, and he had walked away as if I never existed. But fate has a twisted sense of humor, because now, 2 years later, Rayyan Ahmed is back. And this time I'm the one holding all the cards. 2 years. That's how long it had been since Rayyan Ahmed walked out of my life, leaving me with nothing but a signature on a divorce paper and a hollow space in my heart. I told myself I had moved on. That he was just a chapter in my past, a mistake I would never repeat. But life had other plans. Tonight, the universe decided to play its cruelest joke yet. I was at Le Jardin, an exclusive 5-star restaurant, celebrating the launch of my new business, a high-end fashion label I had built from scratch. It was supposed to be a night of victory, of proving to the world that I had risen from the ashes of my past. Then I sought him. Rayyan, sitting at a private table, dressed in his signature black suit, looking as devastatingly handsome as ever. But he wasn't alone. She was there, sitting across from him, Sophia Rahman, the woman I once believed was just his friend. The same woman I had seen countless times during our marriage, always hovering around him, always too close for comfort. I felt my stomach twist, my fingers tightening around the champagne flute in my hand. I shouldn't have cared. He was nothing to me now. He had made his choice 2 years ago, and I had made mine. But then I saw it, the way she leaned in, whispering something in his ear. The way his expression darkened, his jaw clenching as if she had just said something that hit a nerve. And then, as if sensing my presence, his eyes lifted. Our gazes locked across the room. For a second, the world around us disappeared. It was just him and me, suspended in time. I saw something flicker in his eyes shock, regret something else. Something unreadable. But then, just as quickly as it appeared, it was gone. He turned away, focusing back on Sophia as if I was nothing more than a ghost from his past. A bitter laugh rose in my throat. So, this is how it was going to be? Fine. I straightened my shoulders, plastered on a smile, and turned to my business partner, Rayyan, who had been standing beside me the whole time. Shall we dance? I asked, loud enough for Rayyan to hear. Rayyan, ever the gentleman, smiled and took my hand, leading me to the dance floor. As we moved to the rhythm of the music, I could feel Rayyan's gaze burning into me. Good. Let him watch. Let him see that I had moved on. That I wasn't the same woman he had abandoned. But deep down, I knew the truth. This wasn't over. Not by a long shot. I couldn't shake the feeling. Even as I danced with Rayyan, even as the music pulsed around us and laughter filled the air, my mind was trapped in that moment when Ryan's gaze had met mine across the room. Why was he here? And more importantly, why did it still matter to me? I had spent 2 years convincing myself that Rayyan Ahmed was nothing more than a mistake, a chapter I had closed for good. But one look at him, and the old wounds threatened to rip open again. Was he really with Sophia? Had I always been blind to their relationship? No. Stop it, Alina. I refused to let myself fall into that trap again. But as I moved across the dance floor, I couldn't help but steal another glance in his direction. He wasn't looking at Sophia anymore. He was looking at me. His fingers were curled into a tight fist on the table, his jaw clenched, his expression unreadable. But I could feel his presence, his tension, the way his eyes followed my every move. Why? He was the one who walked away. He was the one who ended things without a second thought. Then why did he look like he was the one struggling to breathe? Alina? Rayyan's voice pulled me back. I forced a smile. Sorry, I murmured, shaking my head. Got lost in thought. Rayyan chuckled. Well, if it helps, I think someone else is lost in your thoughts too. I stiffened. What do you mean? Rayyan leaned in slightly, lowering his voice. Rayyan Ahmed hasn't stopped looking at you since you walked in. I let out a small, breathless laugh. I don't care. Rayyan smirked. Of course you don't. I wanted to deny it, to brush it off. But the truth sat heavy in my chest. Rayyan had always been a master of control, a man who never let his emotions show. And yet tonight, there was something different in the way he looked at me. Like he wasn't expecting to see me here. Like he didn't want to see me here. Or maybe just maybe he wanted too much to see me here. I needed air. Excusing myself, I slipped away from the dance floor and made my way toward the balcony. The night air was crisp against my skin, and I inhaled deeply, willing my emotions to settle. I shouldn't let him get to me. I wouldn't let him get to me. But as soon as I turned, I found myself staring into the very eyes I was trying to escape. Rayyan, standing in the shadows, watching me with an intensity that sent a shiver down my spine. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then, in a voice that was low and strained, he finally broke the silence. You're back. I lifted my chin, refusing to let him see the effect he still had on me. Yes, I said, my tone even. And clearly, so are you. His eyes darkened. This city was never yours to leave, he said. I scoffed. Neither was our marriage, but you had no problem walking away from that, did you? His jaw tightened. For the first time, I saw something flash in his gaze, something raw, something dangerously close to regret, but I didn't care. I had spent 2 years drowning in questions, in pain, in the ghost of what we had. Not anymore. Not again. So before he could say another word, I turned my back to him. And this time, I was the one who walked away. I thought walking away would be enough. That if I ignored him, if I pretended that Rayyan Ahmed didn't exist, I could escape the gravity of his presence. But fate wasn't done playing its cruel games. The next morning, I walked into my office, expecting nothing more than a regular day of meetings and designs. Instead, I found my assistant, Anya, looking pale and nervous as she clutched her phone. "Alina, you need to see this." She handed me her phone, and the moment I looked at the screen, my blood ran cold. It was an article, a headline. "Billionaire Rayyan Ahmed and ex-wife Alina Malik spotted together? Is there more to the story?" Beneath it was a picture from last night of me and Ryan on the balcony, standing close, our gazes locked in an unspoken battle. It looked intimate, as if we were two lovers caught in a moment of passion rather than exes who barely tolerated each other. But that wasn't what made my breath catch. It was the other part of the article. Sources close to Ahmed Enterprises confirm that Rayyan Ahmed is set to announce his engagement to socialite Sophia Rahman in the coming weeks. However, recent sightings with his ex-wife Alina Malik have sparked rumors of an unresolved past. I felt like the floor had been ripped out from under me. Rayyan was engaged? To her? A sharp, bitter laugh escaped me. Of course. I should have known. Why else would she have been with him last night? Why else would he have looked so tense, so distant? This was his next deal. A new contract. A new woman. And yet, something didn't add up. If he was engaged, why had he looked at me that way last night? Why had he followed me to the balcony instead of sitting beside her? "Alina?" Anyu's voice was hesitant. "Do you want me to release a statement?" I swallowed the lump in my throat. "No," I said, my voice steady. "Let them talk. Let him talk. Because if Rayyan thought he could replace me so easily, if he thought he could rewrite the past as if I had never existed, then he was about to learn a very painful lesson. I wasn't the same woman he left behind. And this time, I was the one in control. I wasn't going to wait. I wasn't going to sit around and let Ryan dictate this story, our story, like he had the last time. If he wanted to pretend that I was nothing but a forgotten past, if he wanted to parade around with Sophia while the media twisted the truth, then fine. But he was going to face me first. So I did what I should have done 2 years ago. I went to him. The Ahmed Enterprises building loomed ahead, all glass and steel, cold and emotionless just like its owner. But I wasn't intimidated. Not anymore. I stormed through the lobby, my heels clicking against the marble floor as I headed straight for his office. The receptionist stood up hurriedly. "Ma'am, do you have an appointment? I don't need one," I said firmly, pushing open the heavy doors without another word. Rayyan was standing by the window, his back to me, as if he had been expecting me, as if he knew I'd come. Slowly he turned, his gaze unreadable, but I caught the brief flicker of surprise before he masked it. "Alina." I shut the door behind me. "Are you engaged?" Straight to the point. No games. His jaw tightened. "That's none of your concern." I let out a bitter laugh. "Not of my concern? Really? The media is dragging my name into this circus, and you think I shouldn't care?" His hands curled into fists at his sides. "I never wanted this to happen. Then why is it happening?" My voice shook with anger. "Why is my name in the headlines with yours? Why were you at that restaurant with her?" He exhaled sharply. "Because my board is forcing the engagement. They want stability. A marriage that aligns with business interests." A hollow laugh left my lips. "Wow, that sounds so familiar. Where have I heard that before?" His gaze darkened. "It's different, is it?" I took a step closer, my heart pounding. Because from where I'm standing, it looks exactly the same. A heavy silence filled the space between us. Then, softly, he said, "I didn't choose this, Alina." I shook my head. "You never choose anything, Rayyan. You just let things happen. You let people make decisions for you. And when it gets too real, when I get too real, you run." He flinched, as if my words had struck a nerve. I pressed on. "Did you ever love me?" It was the question that had haunted me for 2 years. For a long moment, he didn't speak. Then yes. The air was sucked from my lungs. I stared at him, my pulse roaring in my ears. "What?" His expression was raw, stripped of the cold indifference he usually wore. "I loved you, Alina." His voice was hoarse, like it hurt to admit it. I still do. I took a step back, shaking my head. No, you don't get to say that. You don't get to stand here and... I had to let you go, he said suddenly, his voice breaking. If I hadn't, you would have been trapped in a life where you weren't truly wanted. I froze. What are you talking about? He swallowed hard. My grandfather's will, he never intended for me to stay married to you. The board never accepted you. The moment the contract ended, they expected me to move on. If I had fought them, if I had chosen you over the company, you would have spent your entire life being seen as nothing more than an obligation. Tears burned in my eyes. So, you just decided for me? You thought walking away was better than fighting for me? I thought it was the only way to protect you, he whispered. My chest ached. You didn't protect me, Rayyan. You broke me. He exhaled shakily. And I've been breaking every day since. The confession hung heavy between us. For the first time, I saw the regret, the torment, the love he had buried beneath years of duty and expectation. But was it enough? Was it too late? I didn't have an answer. All I knew was that nothing between us would ever be the same again. I stared at him, my heart pounding so loudly that it drowned out the silence between us. His confession should have meant something. It should have been enough. But it wasn't. Love wasn't just words. It wasn't just something you admitted after years of silence and regret. It was a choice he had never made for me when it mattered. I took a shaky breath, forcing the tears back. Rayyan, you don't get to do this. You don't get to tell me you love me now. He flinched. I know I don't deserve... No, I cut him off. You don't deserve it. He fell silent, his jaw tightening. I stepped back, putting space between us. I spent 2 years asking myself why I wasn't enough, why I wasn't worth fighting for, and now you tell me you did it to protect me. I let out a shaky laugh, but there was no humor in it. Do you have any idea how cruel that is? He looked like he wanted to say something, to reach for me, but he didn't. Because maybe, deep down, he finally understood. I straightened my shoulders. I don't need your protection, Rayyan. I never did. What I needed was a partner, a man who would stand beside me, not decide my future for me. His hands clenched at his sides, his face a mask of barely contained emotion. And what about now? He asked hoarsely. Do you still need me? A part of me wanted to say yes. A part of me wanted to run into his arms, to believe that love alone could fix what had been broken. But I had learned my lesson. I met his gaze, steady and unwavering. No, I whispered. The pain in his eyes was instant. Good. Let him feel what I had felt. Let him taste the loss he had forced upon me. I turned to leave. And this time, I wasn't hoping he'd follow. I walked out of his office, out of his life, and with every step, I felt lighter. Because for the first time in years, I was free. Not from him. Not from our past. But from the version of myself that had waited, that had hoped. Rayyan Ahmed was my past. And I was finally ready for my future.